Okay, so this is the Whislux stove. This has been sent out to me from Camperlist by James. And I have tried it once. I've done a burn on it so that it will sort out any kind of warping within the titanium on it, on the stove or the chimney pipe. But I'll show you through this now, and I'll tell you about it, because it's going to make a good sort of, budget comparison to the likes of Pomoli and other manufacturers. It comes in a nice bag. It's a bit of a weird bag. It's like paper. It's like really thick paper. It's very odd. Environmentally friendly, I don't know. But you get everything you need inside here. And I've got more inside here because I've got a set of heat gloves. But they supply you with cut-proof gloves, so you get these so when you're putting the titanium together you don't slice your hand open. They're my fire starters. But this is what you get in the kit. So you've got the stove itself, and this is a folding stove with two glass panels on it. So there's glass on the front and glass on the side. So it's not as light as some others because it's got glass on it, but it's still a decent weight. I'll weigh it now and I'll show you. Okay, so weight-wise, without the gloves, this whole thing, the bag and everything, weighs 3,015 grams, so just over 3 kilos. There is 2 bits missing from it. They're not missing. I just couldn't fit them in the pack. One is a scraper for getting the wood out, moving it around, a poker, and it just doesn't seem to fit in there. And the other is the base for the stovepipe. So this is quite a weird shape. So unless I'm doing something wrong, I couldn't get this to fit back in the pack. When it comes in a massive box, and they're all in individual sections around it. So it may be that I'm doing something wrong, but I'll try it again later. But I'll set this up and I'll show you how easy it is to put together. Now I'll show you how easy it is to put together. The stove itself is very, very easy to put together. This thing was the bane of my life. They're renowned for being a nightmare to unroll and then fold lengthways. So they're not the easiest thing. Now that it's had a burn, I'm hoping it will go back into that shape of the chimney easier. We will see. So you have 2 Velcro straps. Maybe don't wear the gloves when you're doing the Velcro. Then you have the main stove. You have a grill plate, and then that is the lid. So as you can see on the top here, it's got these strengthening bars going across it. All that does is it helps stop it from warping. But this could not be easier to set up. Lift that up, lift it up, lift the sides up, and you're virtually there. So it's got these little hooks on the side. Show you a bit better. They just latch on, they just turn and latch onto the sides, and the same with the top ones, that will latch onto the top. There's also an air vent on the side here, so you can control airflow. And there's one on the front, and then obviously you've got the actual chimney vent as well, so you can change that. After my first use on this, I left it burning for quite a few hours, and there was no warping at all. You can see the colour change, so it got a good burn. The titanium is all changed into your normal rainbow sort of colours. And on the bottom, the legs just fold out, and away you go. Now there are 4 screws that go through here. There's no real instructions on it, and I assume the screws go through to keep this off the floor, to get more airflow through underneath the coals, but it doesn't leave a huge amount of space. This is a relatively small stove, so it doesn't leave a huge amount of space in here for wood. So I'm going to do it tonight just without that, and just lay this on the bottom, and then your top pops on like so. And you turn the locks in. And that's it. The stove part is done. Now you've got thumb screws on here, so you literally just undo this. Three thumb screws. Try saying that after a drink. And then this pops on here. Make sure that you have this at the back section of the stove, otherwise you can't turn it. I'm keeping the gloves on because not only do they stop you from getting cut, but also stop my hands from getting filthy. And then this has a valve inside that you can control the airflow through as well. So you've got 3 separate sections. The front here of the door very simply just lifts up. That doesn't get hot at all, so you don't need gloves on. You then got this vent as well, so that slides backwards and forwards, so you can control airflow from here, from the side, and from the top. Right, so this is the fun bit, trying to get the chimney stove up. So basically this has a removable top. It's got 3 little tags, so you can tie it out in the wind. It's not going to blow about anywhere. And then you have the rings that hold it in a tube shape. And then you also have this butterfly nut at the bottom to clamp it on to the base of the stove so it doesn't come off. So it's nicely designed. It is really good, but I think just in general these titanium chimneys are an absolute pain, so I'm going to try and get this up now. And I'm not going to video it. Okay, so I sort of wish I did film that now, because it went up in about 2 minutes. First time round, 2 hours. But obviously since it's been used and warmed up, it has made it a lot easier to roll in the correct chimney shape. However, when I first did it, it's not the smoothest roll. So the bottom's fine, the top's fine, nice and round. There's some creases in the middle. What are you going to do? Right, so I'm going to put some guidelines on the spark arrestor that goes on the top, put it on top here, feed it through, attach it to the stove. Okay, now in theory all I've got to do is feed it through the pipe in the jack and then connect it to the stove. See how that goes. Okay, so that's pretty straight with the stove. So now put this spring over here. Stove, chimney should go over that. Okay, so we get that snug down here, it's a bit twisted. That's it. And then we can tighten this up. Okay, so it's not going anywhere. Okay, so now I've just got to peg out the guide points from the top of the chimney to make sure it's nice and stable. So I'm just going to tie a loop on the end of these. They don't need to be adjustable and they don't really need to be tight, they've just got to stop it from flapping about in the wind. Number 3. That is essentially hot tent done. Starting to chill now. It's supposed to get down to 0 tonight. So, what is that noise? Sounds like machinery in the background. So yeah, it's supposed to get cold tonight, but I've got the fire going now, which has worked really, really well. And I'm going to cook on the stove. I'm I've got burgers, I've got bacon breakfast. Annoyingly though, I forgot to bring cheese for my burgers. But worse, I can't find the oil. I know I brought it, I know I packed it, I cannot find the oil. So I'm going to have to cook my burgers using just the fat coming out of the burgers. So I'll have to sear them quite quickly and then move them around so they don't stick to the bottom of the pan. Fun and games. Right, so I'm just cooking my burgers in here. I've put one log on and a little bit of kindling, that's all I've got in there. And I'm absolutely roasting. It's so warm in here. I keep looking up at the jack just to make sure everything's okay with the chimney, because the stove is getting very, very hot. You can see it glowing red actually in the dark. Yeah, you can see at the bottom there. It's like a furnace. It's quite amazing the difference it makes with this stove. So I have a little digital thermometer which is called a sensor blue. So it's Bluetooth, it links with your phone and it shows you temperatures throughout the night going up and down, so you can measure long term. The battery doesn't last that long though, but the fire was going to a point where it hit 50 degrees in here, and the sensor is just on the table sort of by my head. So I was just laying here absolutely roasting, and I thought I'll let it burn down and burn out, and it did. And as it dropped down, the change in temperature was drastic. It suddenly got really, really cold, and as I say, it's only going to get down to 0 tonight. So it's probably 3 or 4 degrees maybe. But yeah, I think you just notice it more when 1 minute you're boiling hot, and then that heat gets taken away. So I've chucked another couple of logs on, keep me going, keep me toasty. But I'm enjoying it. There's so much space in this tent, it's insane how big it is. But the stove is small and it is warming this whole tent up. So yeah, it's doing really well. I'm impressed. It is a cold one this morning. I'm very glad of this fire. It is so nice. I've just got up, picked up my camera from the night lapse that was on, and got the fire going. It's immediately changed the temperature. I'm just warming my pan up for my bacon rolls this morning. The fire, very impressed that it burnt out last night, left a small bed of ash in there this morning, which is okay to cook back on again. So I'm just getting, just need to put a bigger log on now and then get some breakfast going. The stove itself, the Whislux stove, I thought it was going to be too small to heat a tent of that size because there is so much space inside it. But bearing in mind it hit 50 degrees last night, that's more than enough. It was only for short periods of time because it died down quite quickly as soon as I stopped feeding the fire basically. So yeah, I think the only negative to it is if you want a long burn, if you want to sleep overnight and stick a few logs in it and turn it down to a low heat setting so that the logs burn for a longer period. That's a bit harder because it's such a small stove, you can't fit much in it. So I think that's the only real negative about it. Otherwise it worked perfectly, it packed up well. The chimney went away perfectly this time as well, so it's all folding nicely. So yeah, I'm really chuffed with that stove. As always, I'll put a link in the description below if you want to buy it.